This is another episode about building the loaf from the future, where we're not making a tutorial, we're just sharing our own story, with all its little mishaps and occasional mistakes. And unfortunately, we have plenty to talk about. Enjoy watching.
These spaces are just a temporary solution. Nothing is as permanent as something temporary. Cheops, let's just put up a pyramid here for now, and later we'll replace it with something proper.
Yes, we really did make some very questionable spaces a couple of episodes ago and said it was just a temporary fix. And now the time has come. Now Valera will take off the wheel and we'll get to admire our invention once again. Of course, you're not going to get far with spaces like these.
Basically, we just took a piece of pipe, kind of welded it together, and decided to make up for the missing width of the axle.
Ideally, you'd absolutely want to do without spacers at all, and the best solution would be to install an axle that fits as closely as possible, since we've already finished the body frame and now know the exact, precise dimensions.
In order to create the smoothly rounded bodywork of Buchanka, we had to widen it by another 6 centimeters on each side.
So, we decided that we'd install a new axle.
Why did you buy an entire vehicle? Wouldn't it have been easier to just weld the frame ourselves, or just buy the frame and suspension?
Yes, there were a lot of questions. Why did we even buy the vehicle if all that's left is the frame? That's a debatable question. First of all, considering the time it would take to build a frame from scratch and the cost of materials, it's not certain that it would be cheaper than buying a donor vehicle. Secondly, this is our first experience. We still don't really know what will happen with the car, and using a donor gives us at least some paperwork. It's not guaranteed that we'll need them, but the donor is registered to me, and I have the documents. We'll see how things go from here. Meanwhile, the guys removed the rear axle and suspension and set off in search of the perfect axle.
Why exactly are you driving 100 in your van? The drive shaft is going to overheat.
Andrei, we passed that Kamazet.
That truck doesn't have any power.
Listen, maybe you should just take off the restrictor first.
Go.
Oh, there we go. Now that's more like it. But I think we're still struggling. John and I started thinking about where we could quickly get an axle. And one brilliant idea came, where all the bridges of the Republic of Belarus are concentrated precisely in the city of Mosti. And so they arrived in the city of Mosti in order to find that very treasured bridge.
All the axles are in Mosti. All the axles are in Mosti. And here it is, 15 Vokselnaya Street. So much good stuff. Where's our axle?
Alright guys, look, here's one. This kind, like this.
With drums, right?
Line.
In the photos it was without drums.
Here it is, yeah. Here's one and here's the second. It's all in your hands now.
Got it.
Measure it. Take measurements. Measure the circumference. 28. Yes. That's exactly what we need.
Alright, let's estimate the width, Valera. Well, super, that's awesome. 185 even, and we need...
We need 170?
Yeah, well, perfect. Because the MIDI has 145 and this one has 184. So in the end, it's more than 30.
In short, the spacers will be minimal and it's 40 centimeters wider, which is actually a big plus for us, so that's just great. Well, it's perfect for us. Hooray! We didn't come here for nothing. This one's better, but I like this one more. It's more complete. I mean, there's no drum on this side. Yeah, you could ask for the drum, but you'll have to turn it yourself. It won't come off right now. Well, listen. And this one's more complete, but he's already lost it. So, this one here, he was thinking about the drum, but let's talk about this one instead.
Super palare. And at the right moment...
It's not needed. Well, where are the different options? Like,
a spring?
No, this one here, Valera, we don't need this rod, because even if not, it wasn't in the media. This one was on springs. Well, whatever, it's fine, minimal, but great. There's no play, it's perfect. Well, it's factory made. Here, we'll negotiate the price with the guys, but let's go over there and see what's up and about the money. Because you see, there's something with some play.
Where are you guys even going, huh?
drawn, so look, we bought the axle. Well, awesome, everything is really going smoothly. It's actually 40 centimeters wider, so we just did great. Feel bad for your little goose, why is it smoking much? Half the day was spent on the trip, and now the new axle is in our workshop. Here you see the difference. This bridge, this Suzu, on it he lay on springs, that is, the leaf springs were underneath, passing through. It turns out that the bridge was lying on springs, which is not the case with the LT axle. On it, the leaf springs were on top. So what are we going to do? We remove the panhard rod, cut off all the mounts, cut off these caps, cut off the spring mounts, and move them to the other side. We need to put a stock buchanka next to it, otherwise it's not clear. What size is your greenhouse? By the way, that's a great idea to put two buchankas side by side. We'll definitely do that in the upcoming episodes. I think right after we cover our vehicle all around with polycarbonate, but to get ahead of myself, I'll say that our specimen turns out to be significantly larger. And overall that's not a bad fit for the concept, since the auto industry is confidently moving in that direction. And modern cars are usually larger than their predecessors, if we're talking about the same model line. The only exception is those huge American barges from the last century. Since our project is codenamed Buchanka 2077, this size is justified. After several Valera hours, everything unnecessary was removed from the bridge, and it was possible to dismantle it. Here is the main mounting bracket. The next step is to put the leaf springs in place, bring the axle up to them, and in this way precisely set its future position and tack it in place with welding. After that, we disassemble everything again, weld the mounts properly, and move on. It's already clear that the axle fits perfectly, which means this part will be a permanent fixture in the project, and we need to make it look presentable. First we use a wire brush to roughly remove the rust and dirt, and then, in the next step, we reach the most hard to access spots with a sandblaster. After everything has been sandblasted, you need to immediately prime and paint the part, because the sandblasted surface starts to rust and deteriorate again very quickly. That's exactly what we did.
In the end, we kind of painted it a bit, cleaned it up, and made it look presentable. The only thing left for us to do is to replace these rotten shields, but right now we can't replace them because it makes more sense and is more correct to do all that when the axle is already installed in its proper place. Why? Because in order to replace these shields, we need to remove the drum and completely pull out the axle shaft, the differential shaft that goes directly into the differential. There's no other way to do it. Moreover, these shields are a load-bearing structure. The entire braking system is mounted on them. Here, for example, is one from the old axle.
Meanwhile, I wasn't just sitting around doing nothing. Since the project is called Low from the Future, we have to live up to the name. An interesting idea came to my mind. I want to try making a panoramic roof with a starry sky effect. That's why, with the help of a laser machine, we're making a small prototype. We cut holes in the acrylic glass, small ones at 0.8 mm and larger ones at 2 mm. We might end up not using the larger ones at all, but for the prototype we decided to include them. Once all the holes are cut, we thread fiber optics through them. The idea is that the small dots will create the background of the sky, while the larger dots will imitate constellations. The trick is that the fiber optics become completely invisible once they're covered with epoxy, but the beauty of it is that the fiber optics don't lose their functionality. In the end, we made a symbolic border and poured resin over the first side. So, What is the point of my idea? As a result, the fiber optics will be completely encased in resin from both sides and will become totally invisible. Given the scale of the roof and it's huge, we'll be able to create an exact replica of the starry sky with all the constellations. And again, according to the plan, the roof will be completely transparent, but once we turn on the fiber optic lighting, it will light up like a starry sky. After the first layer dried, I flip the piece over and press the fiber optics along the polycarbonate. The 2mm fiber optic cable is actually unnecessary in this setup, because it's impossible to press it down neatly. And finally, we pour resin over everything. The next day, the resin had dried, and we ended up with this kind of sandwich. Yes, for now it looks strange, and you can see the fiber optic rods a bit inside the resin, but overall there's definitely a lot of potential here. We've already come up with ways to improve this technology, and for now, we determined to make a panoramic roof with a starry sky, possibly the first in the world. I haven't seen anything like this before. If I'm mistaken, I'd appreciate any information. I'll be waiting in the comments.
And the leaf springs will stay in the back. And yes, since it's a van from the future, put in a joystick.
Yes, the leaf springs will remain in the back, and Valera is actually working on restoring them right now. And as for the joystick, that's a really interesting idea, considering that the vehicle will most likely remain mostly a toy, and we won't be able to use it actively on public roads. The joystick concept would fit in perfectly. We'll definitely look into this.
We bought new shock absorbers because the old ones were in such terrible condition, completely crumbled. There's nothing left to salvage from them. Again, all the other bushings that were on the axle are also unusable now. They're done for completely. That's why we replaced the brakes, machined new bushings, and also replaced the pins that were worn out on the spring shackles. Then painted all the spring mounts as well, shooting an even and complete coat on all the parts. I don't know if it was really necessary or not, but at least now it all looks pretty neat. The next thing we need to do is to take the entire kit, which we have already prepared ahead of time, and carefully install all of its parts onto this specific spot.
In the end, it took us several hours to install everything, and this is the result we have now. As you can imagine, this is an expensive undertaking. This project is done for fun and exists only thanks to your support. And the best way to support us is to share this video anywhere you like. A couple of long comments and a like are also important. Thank you, and may the good axe be with you.